Here's how to code Python without installing anything. Going over if loops and else loops. So, to set up an if loop, you first create a variable. So I'll say variable equals 1. And then you do if var equals 1, 2 equals, then you do alert var is 1. And you also have to add a colon. So what this does, it defines a variable as var as 1, and then it's like if var equals 1, then alert var is 1. And the reason you need to have 2 equal signs is because if you do 1 equal sign, it'll think you want to change the variable to something else. But with 2 equal signs, it knows that you want to know if the variable is this. So if I click run, and it says var equals 1. Now, there are also other ones like not equals 1. So that's exclamation point and equals. And then if I click run, it won't say anything. Now you can also have an else loop, which can say, which also needs a colon, and which can be like alert something else. So if I click run, it'll say something else. So what this does is it asks if var does not equal 1, and in this case it does, and if var does not equal 1, it alerts var is not. And then if it is 1, it'll say var is 1. Now, you can also do a less than. So you can do is var less than 1. So it'll say var is less. So you can also do change these to 1 and 2. And you can do greater than as well. Is var greater than 1? And in this case, it's equals to, so it defines it as yes. And you can also do less than and equal to, so it's a less than sign in front of an equal sign, and if you click run, it'll broadcast 1 because it is less than or equal to. And you can do the same thing as greater than. And it says 1. Now, you can also make a second variable, and I'll say var2 equals 2, and it says, and I could go like, if var is greater than var2, then alert var1 is greater, and if var1 isn't greater, you could say var2 is greater. So in this case, var2 is greater. So it'll say var2 is greater. Or like, if var1 is greater than var2, it would be alert var1's greater. But to make it so that you can have 3 statements in the if statement, you do elif. So I could do elif var equals var2, and then alert var, they are the same value. And then I could do else alert var2 is greater. So I'll change it so var2 is, so I'll keep it so it's var2 is bigger. So now it should say var2 is greater. But if I make them the same number and then click it, it'll say they are the same value. And if I make var1 greater and then I click it, it'll say var1 is greater. Now there are also operators like and also or. So you could have if var1 is greater than var2, or I could add a var3 equals 1, and I could say or var2 equals var3. Then I could have, so what this does is, even if it's like var is 1 and the other two are 3, it'll still say they are the same value, because var2 and var3 are the same value, even though var1 is not. Now, to actually have it that they are the same value, you could do the and. And what this does, if var1 and var2 are the same value, and var2 and var3 are the same value, then it'll say they are the same value. Now, if you can also add it in here too, so and var is bigger than var3. And then I could do another elif, var2 is greater than var, and var2 is greater than var3. And then you could do alert, else var3 is bigger. So if I do 1, 2, and 3, it should say var3 is bigger. And as you can see, it says var3 is the biggest. But if I do 2 and then I make var2 the biggest, it'll say that var2 is the biggest. But if I make var1 the biggest, it'll say var1 is the biggest. But then if I do make them all the same, it'll say they are the same value. Now, if you have an if statement and you need to use it for later, and if you go like this and leave it empty, it'll say syntax error bad input because there's no result for it to go to. To avoid this, but if you still want your loop to exist because you're going to use it for later, you simply just type pass and you click run, and there's no error. Other than the attribute error form 1 because I deleted the original code. Now that's it for this video on if loops and else loops and elif loops. The next video will be on while loops and for loops and try loops. And I'll see you guys in the next part.